I saw that comment.
So,
as well.
Some room. No, please join us. There's room by Lori's. Yeah.
Oh, this is really like there is something. Gotta get this. Yeah. Sure, there. Now I know.
That's good. Yeah, dog.
It's like somebody off that and there is a whole around and.
Now we have to sit here and tell you.
We would refer to that as next company.
It's Mark's birthday.
Our video.
You didn't write it?
Play the meeting.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So we move back.
That's their head shake.
This is like.
Yes, the earlier the better.
Because we didn't want to have to read.
Look at down. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, 9:30.
This is Johnny for the,
What was that, our best friend?
yeah,
Pastor Jim?
yeah.
I don't think there was something like that. There was not a public hearing.
I didn't even know this was happening.
Kathleen. Sit down.
Asking if we had a seeker. Or 15 minutes. Do we tell her we don't need one? Yeah. We said never get a seeker for.
It's already.
Yeah. They should have had it. They should have had it. They needed.
25 years ago.
Well, the only thing we put in new was the road down back. They needed one, it should be. Put the road in. Pay for that.
But she did this little, so.
Well, she came back with it. I'll use the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was talking. Sure.
Oh.
If he.
Well, then there's.
Yeah, it was just.
Well, since I was thinking about.
9:30. It's pretty good. That gives you.
Now you think I'm good.
I know.
I don't smell any different.
No, it's fine. What we're doing.
Search right here. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more thing, I got one more. I'm gonna go back.
Thank you.
Right.
Hi.
This guy.
Oh, we go for it tonight. No. It's yeah, no, I wouldn't get me. You like hops.
She's expressing she's happy she graduated after 11 years.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do? Mark's birthday. That's fall. So
Oh.
Yeah, they're gonna cross anyone.
They set it out. Every group's got one. Oh, good, good.
Yeah, and that Peter really like, and he's like, yeah, you know.
that's a
That's
logical thing
By
to
the
do.
torch.
Yeah.
Wait till after everything, yeah.
Who's that?
What's fun, that's.
So I got it.
Isn't that the real thing though, the way it comes out?
I mean.
So where's that gonna go?
Just.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. I know, I can take it out of this room, next to.
Yeah.
Worked out great.
Yeah, we bring chairs with you.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Number of days with rain for the moment. Isn't that a good picture?
He brought it.
Then there.
To it. Nah.
Sure.
Okay, all right.
Went for dinner.
This was out front. It wasn't.
Where's that?
It was in Chestertown, where the loan.
Yes,
Chestertown.
yeah, yeah.
Still have a phone book.
And they had a
Yeah.
phone booth that worked.
Yeah.
It worked, oh, no.
there was-
You mean there's actually cords connected and everything?
There was not even a hint of a cell service there.
I was at the Long Island House over the weekend, their landline rang, and I was literally like. My kids are like, what is that?
Well, let me tell you, 20 stories in 10 years ago.
My God. Yeah.
Six.
Who are they calling for? I was like, I'm not supposed to answer it. I was like, hello, and then they answered.
When I grew up, these are all the time.
No.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Before we start, let's rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Is that it? Yeah. On behalf of the town of North Elba, I'd like to call this meeting to order.
And on behalf of the village of Lake Placid, I'll do the same.
With that being said, Elena, I think I'll turn it over to you.
Julia.
Or do you-
It's okay.
Yeah.
Elena is the other.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody, for having us, and we're really excited to be sharing the draft plan with you today. This has been about a 1.5-year process to create this draft plan. And I'm joined by Larissa Reed online, who's also been part of this project team. Larissa, if you'd like to introduce yourself and then we'll talk.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Larissa Reed. I can recognize some faces in the audience here. I'm zooming in from Albany, where it is also pouring rain, for those of you that were looking at your days of rain. Yeah, so I'll be running the slide deck from here, and I have some slides to share as part of this presentation. And yeah, delighted to be here and delighted to be part of this light at the end of the tunnel for this big project.
Jason, could you turn it up a little?
I just.
And I'll talk a little slower and a little louder when I get to my slides. How's that?
Sounds good.
Great. I lost my voice, so my apologies. All right, I'm going to screen share. Okay, Julia?
Perfect. Thank you.
Do you have permission? If not, Jason can give it to you. This is what Jason is.
I Did that work?
Yes.
That's it.
Great.
Great. All right, well, we're gonna sort of tag team this presentation. But this is the draft plan presentation. As I've said, we've been working on this project with the town and village for about a 1.5 years. And this is the point of the project where we are discussing the draft plan with the town and village boards. This isn't the approval meeting, but just a meeting to review the draft. So today we'll give an overview of the planning process, the structure of the plan, the smart growth principles that New York State has identified, which are important for this planning process for a variety of reasons, including the fact that this plan was funded in part by a smart growth grant. Then we'll review the plan themes and the recommendations and the future land use structure of the plan. Then following that, we'll have a discussion, and this is a pretty open-ended discussion. It's really, this is a time for the town and village boards to discuss any issue that you would like to regarding the plan. But we do have a couple just guiding questions that can guide the discussion as well. Okay, so a comprehensive plan, as I'm sure this group knows, it's a document that informs the overall growth and development and character of a community. It's primarily a guide for land use, and it's meant to guide land use and development for a period of about 10 years. A comprehensive plan also is responding to some of the existing issues on the ground right now, and so it's meant to balance some of the short-term ongoing challenges and anticipate long-term needs for the community. A comprehensive plan is an important tool for identifying a community vision and goals going forward. So a community engagement process is always a very important portion of a comprehensive plan. We're going to give an overview of some of the components of engagement later on in this presentation. The plan document, this is pretty standard across comprehensive plans. They typically address community development, land use, climate, transportation, historic character, economic development, recreation. It's very comprehensive. And in New York State, as in many other states, a comprehensive plan or an equivalent document is needed for a community to be enabled to enact zoning laws. In this case, it's a joint comprehensive plan between the town and village. And so that's an important piece of this. The town and village have, I think, very smartly chosen to tackle that together because all of their issues are very intertwined. This project, as I mentioned, was funded in part by a Smart Growth Community Planning Grant, which is offered through the Department of State. And as we mentioned, we are part of the team that's been supporting the town and village on this project. And SE Group, we're based in Burlington, Vermont, and have been working with the town and village on this project, as well as the Showgrounds and Athletic Fields master plan project that recently concluded. We also want to acknowledge all of the team that's in this room and beyond and has worked on this project and really made it what it is. The core team of Haley, Katie, Dean, Jackie, and Emily are all here. Thank you so much for all of your contributions to this project. We met every other week or, thereabout throughout this project, and they provided a lot of really important input throughout. We also had a steering committee that was comprised of representation from the town and village that guided this project at key junctures throughout the planning process. Yeah, and in addition, we also would like to acknowledge the town and village board. We've sent the draft recommendations to this group and really appreciate the input that we've received thus far on those draft recommendations. And we also want to acknowledge all of the members of the public who contributed their time and input to this process. We had a couple different opportunities for people to engage with this process early on and later on as well, from open houses to surveys to focus group discussions. So we really appreciate all the feedback that people shared to inform this draft plan.
Great. So I'm going to walk the group through some of the community input opportunities that we held and some of the also main themes that are in the plan itself. And Julia can always toggle to the document itself if needed, away from the slide deck that I'm sharing here. So just as a reminder, taking us back in time, we started with a visioning survey in the winter of 2024. Vision is a way for a community to articulate what the world would look like if you succeeded and you flourished in every facet of your existence as the town and village. So you'll see the resulting vision statement in a few slides. But that's what we started with, getting the community thinking about what if we succeeded in every way as a town and village, what would our community look like? We held an open house in April 2024, and then in early summer 2024, we started a series of focus groups, and I suspect many of you in the room participated in some of those, maybe more than one. We met in person and online, and we had lots of opportunities for focus groups to chime in on specific topics, and those are all outlined in the plan as well. We held a scenario planning workshop with about 30 folks, more of an internal style workshop in May 2024. And in that scenario planning workshop, we looked at critical uncertainties that we determined were the biggest critical uncertainties that the town and village were facing. And those were affordability and preparedness for climate change. And we'll come back to that in a moment. Then we took that same concept of thinking about the future and what scenarios might arise. We took that to the public in a pop-up in June 2024. Then we had an open house for the showgrounds and athletic fields this past January. And throughout that time, it seems like a big gap between June 2024 and January 2025. We had ongoing engagement through the website, through email updates, and through the many committee members and participants in those focus groups who are engaging and giving us feedback on elements of the plan. By the numbers, we had an amazing turnout in the first visioning survey. That was that first engagement opportunity, and it went so well with over 700 responses. We had many attendees at the 2 open houses. We had 5 steering committee meetings. Those were the group that was listed on the left side of the slide a few slides ago. And we had also other engagements with the steering committee via email and forms, things like that, where they were providing input on various pieces and elements as we went through. We also had 2 pop-up opportunities with the public, as we mentioned, at Community Day and at the Scenario Planning Workshop. And again, we just want to reiterate a huge thank you to the North Elba and Lake Placid community members. We know some of you might be watching live, or maybe you'll watch this video tomorrow or the next day of your town and village board meetings. And we just want to say thank you, because the whole premise and the foundation of a comprehensive plan is really based on community input. So thank you for doing a great job with that. And for those of you in the room for getting folks out and getting them engaged during the last year. Just a quick moment here. The plan is, as Julia said, large. It's comprehensive. There's a lot of stuff in the plan. So we just wanted to call your attention to this chart. Sorry that the graphic is a little bit fuzzy, but it's page 10 of the document. And it's basically a how to use this guide. So if you want to open up this large document and learn about the future land use map, you're a visual person, you can scroll to that section. If you want to learn about values and stressors in the community, you can understand those sections understand those concepts by reading those sections in the plan. Appendix A is a detailed community profile, and Appendix B contains a lot of detail about the various phases and results we received and comments we received during public engagement. So again, that's page 10 of the plan. And then page 11, we have this graphic which really shows the process in a way that we used throughout this entire planning effort, where we started by looking at the values and stressors that the community said were the most important to them. And those started out even in the visioning survey and in other engagements that we had. Then we moved into the scenario planning, where we're looking at the biggest uncertainties that the community was facing. Those were based on those values and stressors. And as Julia mentioned, we're checking in with the steering committee and the core team at every step of the way on this. Those things helped then inform the community vision and the plan themes, the top 5 themes that we heard. And then I'm going to share with you in a moment here, and then drilling down really into the how-tos, the recommendations, which are a lot more of the concrete on the ground principles and toolbox for you going forward. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the smart growth principles. Julia mentioned we have the New York State logo up there, that the funding for this project is based with Department of State and these smart growth principles. The folks in this room probably have seen these before. Some members of the public that might be watching online may not have. So we just wanted to mention these. These are a really important foundation for everything that we look at, thinking of it like a lens through which we look at the whole entire project. There's things like prioritizing infill and redevelopment, providing well-planned, equitable, and accessible public spaces, promoting climate resiliency and adaptation, and engaging in collaborative public planning. So just wanted to nod to these into our fund source. I mentioned a moment ago that the plan vision is something we start out right at the beginning, and we check ourselves as we go through the whole process. Or how is the plan, the details of the plan, aligning with what we confirmed with the community as the vision? So again, the vision is a description in very clear language about what the future would look like. So I'll just hit a few highlights here. The vision statement for this plan. The communities of North Elba and Lake Placid envision a future where people and nature thrive together. In this future, there are abundant scenic beauty and outdoor recreation opportunities enjoyed by a strong, diverse, year-round community. The town and village maintain a healthy balance between tourism and other industries, and there's sufficient affordable housing to meet the needs of the community. Together, the town and village cultivate a welcoming, thriving community environment for all who live in and visit North Elba and Lake Placid. So some of the themes that we heard from the community are reiterated in this vision statement, and it really guides the direction of the overall plan. Below are some of the words that are action verbs that have to do with how to deliver on this plan for the community. Supporting a development of a year-round economy, leveraging the economic benefits of tourism, welcoming new residents, etc. And again, I believe this is, well, I can't remember the page number for this, but it's towards the beginning of the document. We identified 5 key themes that I'm just going to hit really at a high level. These are the 5 key themes that we heard from everyone throughout this process, and they trickle down to the rest of the recommendations that Julia is going to go into. Again, they reflect community input and values, and I'll just mention these 5. The first is build climate resilience in North Elba and Lake Placid. The second is to encourage a diverse economy in which people of all income levels have the opportunity to live and thrive. The third is to invest in North Elba and Lake Placid community amenities and to improve access to nature and recreation. And the fourth is to ensure that North Elba and Lake Placid residents have access to the community services and resources that they need. And the fifth is to cultivate a strong community that includes residents as well as the legacy as an Olympic community and tourism destination. I just want to mention one more thing before I go on. In the document itself, there's a considerable amount of language included in the main document as well as in the appendix, the values and stressors. And those are things that really informed a lot of these recommendations as well. And in those sections, you'll see subsections about what we heard from the community, the context of those comments, successes, challenges, and opportunities. So some of the successes and opportunities and ideas that came out of the community are reflected in the next section that Julia is going to be sharing on recommendations.
Thanks, Larissa. Yeah, so I think that provides a good overview of the broad vision and the big picture direction for this plan. And then in the recommendation section is when we start getting specific. What are the action items that actually need to occur to deliver on that vision? So there are 9 recommendation areas in this plan. I'll just read them right now. Smart growth, land use and community design, climate, environment and hazards, housing, economic development and tourism, recreation and stewardship, transportation and mobility, community infrastructure, governance, and finally, arts, culture, and historic character. So these are the broad categories for those recommendations. Each section has a couple components to it. Objectives are the high-level things that we'd like to see in the community going forward. Actions are nested underneath the objectives, and they are the specific things that this plan recommends that the town and village pursue to achieve those objectives. There's also a list of desired outcomes for each section here, which we found very helpful while creating those recommendations, because they really illustrate in a more specific way than just the broader vision statement. What are the specific things we'd like to see change with regard to housing? What would it look like if we got it right? There's a lot of impulse and planning to identify what's going wrong, and that's very important. You want to solve problems. But that section that's at the start of each recommendation section that summarizes those desired outcomes, I'd really recommend this group look at just to feel some inspiration, if nothing else, and also keep in mind that that is what the recommendations are supporting, is hopefully fulfilling those desired outcomes. Great. So we're not gonna go into detail of every recommendation in the plan. I don't know the total number, but it's a big number. But we are gonna just highlight the future land use maps for you. So there are 2 future land use maps in this plan, one for the village and one for the town. And for those who may not have seen a future land use map before, it is a map that summarizes the future direction of land use in the community for the life of this plan. So, you know, on a 5 to 10 year basis, let's say. It's not a zoning map. It's distinct from a zoning map. A zoning map is regulatory. It tells you that what district you're in and what rules apply to you in that given place. This is more of, you can think of it as the vision statement in map form. And it is intended to guide future updates to zoning. So say there was a zoning change that either group was contemplating here, it would be good to look at this future land use map to see, okay, what were some of the things that the community was thinking about during this comprehensive planning process, and how well does this zoning change align with those priorities? So the categories in the legend, it's a little bit small, I apologize about that. But the categories there are preserve the village, cultivate vibrant neighborhoods, maintain waterfront living, preserve open space and or access to recreation, encourage dynamic corridors. That's that purple line that you can see on the map there. And then there are a couple overlay things that are resting on top of the map, including those dots that represent sustain the Olympic spirit, problem intersections, key gateways, and recreation connectivity. So these categories are important to understand the overall vision for land use at a very high level for both the town and village. We definitely recognize that this does not account for every specific circumstance within these areas, but because they are large areas, it's a bit of a generalization for what the future direction is for land use broadly. You want to move to the town one? Great, thank you, Larissa. So the town one is pretty similar, except there are a couple different categories that just don't apply in the village. And that includes that orange category, which is preserve rural lifestyles. I know that's very hard to see. I'm like now seeing if I need glasses. Guess I don't, because I was able to do that. And also support local institutions. This applies to things like the Uline property. And there's also support commercial core, which is along Sarah Placid Road. There's also a overlay around Raybrook that is called support small service center. And that's really meant to convey that the town is open to considering new housing opportunities and small commercial amenities in Raybrook to support its evolution. The reason, just for example, why that doesn't have the pink designation of preserve the village, like in the village future land use map, is there's a difference in the scale of development that we're looking to encourage in those different places. So the small service centers is a different level of density and land use character than of the fully built out village, of course. So that's just an example of the difference between those different categories. And there are descriptions in the plan document, in the land use recommendations section that explains what each of these categories mean. They are abstract, but hopefully they are helpful as a reference for, you know, an index for what the community's vision is, and then how that translates in a broad way to land use.
I just want to add to Julia, if I may, that it's human nature when you see something in a visual format to think it's the rule of law. And we just want to reiterate, and there's a nice text section for this right at the beginning of the future land use map section, that like everything else in the plan, these are recommendations and they serve as a guide. But having worked on these, Julia and I know that sometimes when community members see a visual representation, they think it's the law of the land, and we just want to make sure that we've stated very clearly these are intended, and they're intended across New York State as a recommendation and guide for the future.
Great. So I just wanted to provide an example of a particular topic in the plan, which is the showgrounds and athletic fields. And it's a, you know, discrete location, but there are several different recommendation areas that crosscut this one location. So I thought this would be a helpful example to share for some of the recommendations of the plan. So as mentioned, we just completed a master plan for the showgrounds and athletic fields. So those plans were really conducted alongside each other. And the recommendations of both plans are sort of reflected in each other. But the overall vision for the showgrounds and athletic fields is really captured in those two statements that I've included just in that lower left there. The showgrounds and athletic fields evolve to become a year-round amenity and gathering space for the local community. And second, residents and visitors can walk or bike to recreation destinations. And that is just an excerpt there, but it goes on to list a variety of places, including the showgrounds and athletic fields. So the comprehensive plan includes recommendations related to a variety of topics that I mentioned. And there are recommendations for the showgrounds and athletic fields that relate to recreation and quality of life, transportation, economic development and tourism, and climate, environment, and hazards. So all of these are very important to consider for this one area as well as for the whole community. And on the next slide, we have just an excerpt from the showgrounds and athletic fields plan that summarizes the relevant recommendations from the comprehensive plan. So you can see that there are a few objectives and actions that have that abbreviation REC there. And they include support the North Elba Showgrounds and the athletic fields as a hub for community activities and active recreation. Then the actions associated with that are to implement the recommendations of the North Elba Showgrounds and athletic fields master plan, and to pursue improvements to pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure to promote safe, comfortable access to the showgrounds and athletic fields and adjacent areas. And that action and that language there, as Larissa mentioned, these are not, regulatory statements, but they are important, and speaks to the broader purpose of a comprehensive plan. They're important for communicating that this is a priority of the community. And so when Haley is applying for funding for the state to support a particular project, it's very helpful to be able to refer to the comprehensive plan and say, this was a vetted priority of the community, and this is very important to us to pursue in the future. So making sure that those priorities are articulated in the recommendations is a really important outcome of this process. There are a couple other goals that I want to highlight related to this. So access and circulation goals. So the objective statement there is residents and visitors can walk or bike to recreation destinations, including the showgrounds. And some of the objectives and actions there include providing safe and intuitive access to and circulation within the showgrounds and athletic fields for people walking, biking, and driving. As we know, we've all visited the showgrounds. there's room for improvement in making it a more walkable, and bikeable, place. Some of the actions associated with that objective include improving pedestrian bike connectivity to the showgrounds and athletic fields along Sentinel Road via bike lanes or paths. And also examining off-road connections from Power Pond Park that could use the Jackrabbit Trail. Additional actions are to conduct a study to analyze issues associated with the intersection of Old Military Road, Route 73 and Sentinel Road. This is definitely a problem intersection for all modes of travel. So very important to include in the plan as something that hopefully the community can point to as a priority for future studies and funding. Then finally there, in that transportation list, there's also an action to improve the pedestrian crossing connecting the showgrounds to the ski jumps. Right now that that crossing is placed in a way that it's tough to access from the showgrounds. It's not intuitive. And there's also a lack of things like lighting or an elevated surface or things that would reduce driver speeds and also improve visibility for pedestrians who are crossing that very busy and high speed road. Finally, the climate related goals for the showgrounds and athletic fields include adapting the long building that is currently used for things like Camp Placid and also for the showgrounds events to serve as an emergency shelter for any weather related and other emergencies. So I think Derek is already very involved in making that a reality. But this is just an example of the different types of recommendations that all relate to one location within the town. So the draft plan is available to view on the project website, which is placidpathways.org. And it's available on the provide input tab. And there is a comment form there that will close on July 3rd. So that's available for people to provide comments on the plan. And we have received a few comments thus far that I'll summarize now. So some of the comments that we've received, first I'll just say, you know, we work in a lot of different communities and receive a lot of different types of feedback. And I'm just always really impressed with the quality of the feedback that we receive in Lake Placid and North Elba, because people are not just saying, I like this or I don't like this. They're providing very specific, actionable feedback. So we really appreciate that. Some of the input that we've received is there's an interest in identifying some top priority actions right now. There is an implementation section of the plan, and right now it does not prioritize the recommendations. This is something that we had talked about with our steering committee, and the conclusion that the group came to is that they did not want to prioritize any one action over others and just include them all in the plan because they're all important. But I do want to note that there was interest from the public in understanding what those top priority actions would be, and also understanding more ways that the town and village could track progress. There was also input, folks wanted to see more residents involved in the implementation process. And they also wanted to see more distribution of implementation responsibilities, noting that a lot of the actions in the implementation section are assigned to the community development office to carry out. So I think maybe Haley can speak to this a little bit later, but I know that the town and village are trying to come up with new systems for going about implementing community development initiatives and changing the structure of the Community Development Commission. So I think that's an important thing for this group to discuss how this document can best capture those frameworks. There were also some concerns about noise ordinances, and I did wanna, I'm glad I'm able to share this with the boards right now. There just seems to be some confusion about this plan proposing a noise ordinance. That's not accurate. There is one sentence in the plan that does suggest creating a noise ordinance related to STRs. But it would be specific to STRs. It's not a comprehensive noise ordinance. And I should also clarify, this plan itself is not an ordinance. It's an advisory document that you know, both groups here would use to inform future policymaking. That said, there was also concerns about a recommendation to create a tree ordinance. So that is an actual recommendation in the plan. So there were some concerns about that. There was also a note to explore power redundancy and have more language in the plan about that. That comment specifically mentioned a storm that occurred a few years ago that this person said it knocked out power for 12 days. And so that is certainly something that we can explore in the revised final draft. There were several comments. This is probably you know, the most popular comment in the input form thus far. More strategies to convert short-term rentals to long-term housing. This was a big topic of discussion throughout the planning process. And there are several strategies that we have in the housing chapter related to that topic, but I understand that it's a really, really important issue, and we can certainly look at ways to do more. There were also some notes to add recommendations related to parking along Route 73 in that corridor, and balancing parking needs and also responsible and safe access to recreation and hiking along that corridor. There was a note as well that people appreciated the statement in the plan that children and kids growing up in North Elba and Lake Placid should have access to facilities and to perform at a high level athletically and have access to those opportunities. There was a comment that they wanted to see reciprocal discounts to ORDA venues, recognizing that the town does contribute money to ORDA, and so wanting to see discounts for residents to access those facilities and for their children as well. And we also received several factual corrections and notes about typos, which I appreciate. So we will be making those changes for the next and final draft. Okay, we have done enough talking. So we're now going to turn it over to all of you. And this is just a starting point that we have on the screen here, but if there's anything specific that you'd like to talk about, please feel free to chime in with that. But as a starting point, we'd love if you could share 1 to 3 recommendations in the plan or ideas in the plan broadly that you're excited about or that you think are very important. And 1 to 3 recommendations or ideas in the plan that you have concerns about and that you would like to see changed or removed before any adoption.
And I'm going to stop screen sharing partly so I can take notes on my laptop here, but also so Julia can share screen if there's any specific questions on the document. Sound good, Julia? Okay, great.
Sounds good. Yeah, I need to join the Zoom meeting and then I'll be able to share screen, but.
You want me to go first, Julia?
I do want you to go first. Thank you.
When anyone ever recognizes Ray Brook, I raise my hand.
Okay, there you go.
So I think from a housing perspective, there is available vacant lands adequate to help with housing. Even small business, we've watched the little community have decent growth in the last 10 years. So it's an area where there is a place to go.
And to add to the Ray Road conversation, which I know we've had, but and we've had, but when you talk about infill zoning, or like everything about this, right, is like actually having housing where the services are. And so it goes against that theory to say, let's put housing in Raybrook, right? Like then you're just making people drive and have cars to get to jobs and to get to the grocery store and to get to all their services. So that's why the idea, based on the future land use map, is like a small service center. So it's housing plus those amenities, so that you're not creating just another community that you have to drive into Lake Placid for everything.
And I think that we're also recognizing that some of that theory in urban planning is exactly that, urban planning, and that, you know, I think we're trying to think about how we balance that with the reality of our communities. You know, and that, you know, we don't have that kind of walkable public transport, 15-minute city landscape, and that, you know, we need to kind of develop that in context.
Isn't the saying, build it and they will come?
Yeah, and so I think that it's just trying to think about, you know, where people who are gonna be, you know, living in those houses are going to be working as well.
Right.
Thank you for that.
Quiet crowd.
I thought it was for you guys, no? Everybody can speak, I thought it was just,
I would say town and village board members first.
Right.
Does any town or village board member have any comments?
When she says the intersection at the horse show grounds, as long as you have a yield sign going into a 45, coming from a 45, you're gonna have a mess. So you're not gonna change the way that is as you put a roundabout in there. It'd be the craziest thing in the world. You just have to make a stop going from.
I think it's just
Military.
identifying that that's a troubled
Yeah.
intersection.
Yeah.
Because going across that road, there's just no easy way to get there.
There's a state grant that's been accepted now to study all of Old Military. From drainage along the whole road to the rail trail crossing, important signing. Route 73 down at the showgrounds. And they're even attempting to address the crossing situation between the ski jumps and the showgrounds. So that's starting very soon.
That's great too.
Few questions, or how do you want to do?
Well, I mean, really, no one else, Jackie? Nothing?
I've been part of that for a year and a half.
I know, but now you're saying it publicly.
I kind of said everything I had to say.
I like that they acknowledge that, is it West Valley and Cernak Ave as a problem intersecting? So hopefully that would be something that could be resolved through this.
I think whenever I'm looking at this, and that maybe it's the same for other people, like you're always thinking about money, like that's literally, well, like the whole thing is about money. It's about what you can then ask for, like if this was identified as an issue, it's identified as a recommendation, and now you can ask for money or change zoning to accommodate that, or ask for money to change zoning to accommodate that. So I think it does a good job of identifying places where you can then apply for grants because the comp plan supports it and then the public is behind it. And then in terms of land use, you know, I love density, and there's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of parts about density, about infill, and, you know, about having housing where the amenities are with the addition of Raybrook and creating amenities. And just identifying infill locations as long as you can change the density or increase the density.
And I think that I've really appreciated the public engagement process around this. I think that there's been a lot of really great feedback, you know, guided by you guys, but I think also, you know, just echo that sense that there's, you know, the community really showed up for a lot of the events and provided really great input. So that's been helpful. And I think just kind of, you know, off the back of Emily's point about density, you know, I think that one of the things that I've seen, and I think that came through in the document and in the comments, is that, you know, as we look to kind of solve and try to address some of the housing challenges, that we really think carefully about community infrastructure generally, because if you think only about one of the components, then it makes it, then other aspects of living become more challenging, or, the resources that are existing get overloaded. And so I think, it's great to see that sort of rounded approach here. And I know I've seen that firsthand other places. And, I think that we're in a good place to avoid that if we're careful now. And I think also I'm excited about some of the findings here and the opportunity to leverage, some of the energy in organizations and volunteer energy in the community to try to drive some of this forward. So I think, in addition to the funding that this will unlock, I think that there's some really great things that we can push forward without that.
Yeah, I think, you're a great example of taking the implementation of the plan, into your own hands and leading the effort to have the loop trail concept that's in this plan come to life. And maybe that's a good window into the question of, what should the small working groups look like to accomplish some of the recommendations of this plan? Because as that public comment noted, Haley can't do everything. It's too much for one person to do. And now that the Community Development Commission is sort of changing in structure, what do you think a successful approach looks like in terms of the groups of citizens working on implementation of the plan?
Haley, you got anything?
Got anything
Your impression of this process, and we've wrapped it up. I mean,
Well, it's wrapping up. We're gonna go to the end. I mean, it's been a good process. The engagement has been great. It's definitely been fantastic. And I mean, you guys might want to deal with it.
we'll need advice.
I will note that, I know my office, my friend, whatever is listed in quite a bit, but we haven't really worked out what that's gonna look like. It's definitely not gonna be me alone in my office doing everything, I hope, please,
Right.
doing every single thing in that document.
Eric's gonna talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah. Please don't. So we're still kind of working out what that will look like, but we haven't sorted that out yet.
Thank you.
I guess my question was like, one of the points that you had mentioned was the public was very interested in participating in how to implementing these sort of policies. Like, I guess maybe the question is, the board is how does that look? Because oftentimes it was really tough to get people to volunteer for the development commission. Is it more of an ad hoc sort of?
Yeah, I don't think
Approach.
we know how it looks. And that's still to be discussed and determined. But I mean, you could organize it around the themes, right? That's what they're called, themes. But that's just like more committees. So I think it's more project based, like if someone wants to take up one of these actions. Or there's something that we can actually do that's related to that action or that objective. But I think it's more goal oriented.
I guess, how can we ensure that? Let's say, what are those objectives are selected, it's something that the community really wants, as opposed to what maybe 10 or 5 elected official feels they should often per hour. That makes sense.
Well, again, as Emily said, we haven't really figured it out. I mean, we know that from 2014, the comp plan, then we had committees and they were, in the beginning, they were very goal driven. But once those goals were accomplished, they just kind of met and they were like, what do you want to do next? So nothing was really happening. I think the volunteers or the people who were on the committee were frustrated. They sat there and we discussed the same things multiple times without real action. So going back to this goal oriented and using the themes, whether it is somebody responsible on each board to say, okay, this is what we're going to do, but we would work through the development commission, the community development director's office.
The working committees, what shape they take, have to have an intimate relationship with both boards. This was pointed out. We're struggling financially. I know the villages and I know the town is. And what can we afford? It'd be nice to grab, a component and then work with it. But if you can't afford it, I think the committees just lose their momentum if they're shot down repeatedly just because of the funding. So, and that's where Haley's going to save us.
Yeah. That we've all. Yeah, the other thing that we've seen with the different groupings, and to Emily's point about them being more goal oriented, is that, you know, depending on the goal, different organizations and individuals and energy might be helpful to have around the table. And so I think that you know, having a slightly different approach allows for a little bit more flexibility to, you know, to really stand those up and have maybe more direct conversations with both boards, you know, with grounding in the comp plan and what the public said that they value and is important to them. So I think if we can structure that right, we can just pivot some of the really good energy and good work that's already happened and, you know, carry that forward, but bring in, you know, kind of even more voices and energy into the room.
I have a question.
Lauren. Hey, Bill.
And first, I just want to say, I know this is gonna come as a shocker, but I love that one of the 5 values that was identified was community. So it'd be nice to see how that's gonna be promoted, I think, in the comp plan. And then 2, I think this goes to what Jason was trying to get at, was so everything's gonna be more project-based now as far as the committees go. And I know it's still in the beginning stages, so I don't think there's an answer to this yet, but how is it gonna be decided? Who's gonna decide which projects are ones you wanna push and which ones is that gonna be a joint decision between the village and the board, or, I was just wondering who's gonna decide like what projects really seem like they should be done, and.
I think that's to be determined as we go forward, what you said. In going through this, a lot of them have already begun. So there's just support to push them on.
Yeah, but there'll be more coming up.
Oh, certainly.
I guess maybe just how do we empower the public to say if there is something, how can they explore it and maybe do some background work to see if it's feasible, even though if it does, or then maybe present to the town board as a way to, you know, put it on a radar, yes.
Yeah, and I would say like in the interim, before we figure this out wholly, that people always can come to the town and village boards at people's opportunities to be heard. Did I say that right?
Right, you did. Opportunity to speak.
And or through Haley's office, because Haley's essentially the gatekeeper.
And some of these recommendations, to Rick's point, you know, not having any money, some of the recommendations may not cost anything.
Yeah.
And those could be prioritized. So my question would be, the document, it's like 150 pages, is that, or?
203.
How much?
203.
Oh, dear. So, but hey, I.
Here, Mary.
It's in color too.
What is the plan to make that accessible to all, even, you know, people who, you know, can't read 203 pages on a computer? So what's the plan there? Are you gonna have hard copies available at?
The library?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Would you like them at the
Yeah,
library?
but to let people know that they're there, or other community organizations. And then I liked that the comments that have already come through, that we could see those. Do you have a plan for letting the public view the comments as well? And maybe in a, you know,
Yeah.
some sort of a organized way?
Yeah, I like that you said organized, but we typically, I wouldn't share like all the raw comments, but we
No,
could,
no, yeah.
yeah, summarize what those themes are, and then, you know, say that these are what inform the final draft, because the next draft that we produce will be the final draft that would come back to these boards for adoption. So, yeah, we can certainly share more about that. And I also, I like your point about, you know, a lot of these recommendations don't cost money. And there is an anticipated cost noted for each recommendation. So that can be a helpful tool to understand which ones you can tackle depending on the financial situation. and it's not a specific dollar amount, because there are, unanticipated.
Just the number of
things.
dollar
It's
signs.
just, yeah, it's the number of dollar signs, so.
Do you want a couple of hard copies at the library?
Yeah, sure.
The draft, or do you want when we adopt it, which would hopefully July?
Well, you want people to view the draft, to give comment
Yes.
prior to your, so I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, some for now, between now and July 3rd.
And maybe if you communicate to the library, the URL to be able to provide additional feedback at the library, I think that would be useful.
Yeah, I can do like a QR code that you could print out. Do you think the community's familiar with?
Your point is that having a hard copy.
Yeah,
for
and
people
people, yeah,
who don't have that access.
exactly, right.
Yeah.
So a paper,
Yeah, like a couple of hard copies, I think, but also, to share that with all the community orgs who can post it on their Facebook page if you have the QR code and all of that. So you're making sure, I only found out about this because I saw something about a noise ordinance, so I was looking
That's
for the village.
Village.
And so then I saw it like, oh, okay.
Let's insert ourselves in that.
Yeah, so, just so, because I think people would be interested and impressed with the work that went into this.
Yeah, thank you.
how are you letting people know in the community that this is available for them to take a look at and comment on prior to July 3rd?
See that gal sitting right in the back corner? That's great. She's from the enterprise.
One way.
Okay.
Be in that enterprise.
I mean, that's.
Well, it's on social media, with the link.
Has any suggestions? I say this every time.
What, how to get the
How to
word
get
out?
people to
Yeah,
write
we should have made a
feedback.
press release.
I'm gonna write it down.
But yes, it is it's on social media, it's on our websites, both the town and the village websites. I mean, yeah, I got another suggestion, what else?
I think sharing, as you were saying, with the orgs who were involved.
Yes.
And have
we
them.
have shared with the
We have
Yes,
that.
I think that's
Yes.
a quick way of, spreading it out to some more people.
Yeah, I sent an email to maybe 100 different,
So everyone who's part of the stakeholder
Yeah.
group.
everyone who participated in the focus groups. And also had signed up for the email list that we had at the open house and community day and things like that. But that is voluntary. It's like people who participated and people who signed up. In terms of getting it out to the broader community, as I said, definitely open to ideas. And I think people who are reading the paper or coming across it on social media engage with it that way.
And please tell your friends.
Yeah, word of mouth is great.
Yeah, we're sharing it through the store owners
Awesome.
membership body.
Thank you.
And Roger, you were part of the focus groups?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's how I'm on Julia's list, so
Mhm.
that's how I found out to be here.
All right.
Okay, village and town board have had their say. We've taken questions there. Anything further before we move on in the agenda? Jim?
I stand to discuss something I've discussed with you multiple times, and we talk about the Horse Hill Grounds being a special place. But it's a very historically significant place. We have to recognize that there was the opening ceremonies for the Olympics was there. There's just few places in the world that have done that, and somehow we continue to not recognize that. I speak for myself and a small community of people that have consistently, since the Olympics left, managed to at least light it during anniversaries, try to maintain it a little bit the best we could with some money. We've done a very thorough master plan for the site. And I don't see a lot of recognition in this plan yet. I don't know it, I couldn't get to it, so. But I stand to, it needs to be recognized for the historical significance that it has. We wouldn't be doing any of this if what happened that night didn't start there. So
On the
keep the
map,
fire burning.
on the
Yeah.
map, I think on the North Elba map, I think that it was preserve the Olympic legacy.
Yeah,
Was
it's,
there-
sustain the Olympic spirit is
Yes.
the future land use designation for the showgrounds.
I don't think you could have saw it on there, but
Yeah.
since I have front row, I saw that, just like the Olympic Center was for the
But
village.
I believe I did submit the master plan, so I hope that you got it, right?
Yeah,
Back
I
in the
think,
beginning.
yes, yeah, I remember your comments, thank you.
Okay. Thank
But
you.
yeah, the future land use map does reflect that because it has the designation of sustain the Olympic spirit on that future land use map for the showgrounds and athletic fields. And I think that is an important dimension of that place, along with people wanting to use that place as a more, casual recreation area and also a community gathering space. So it's a really important place for the community, and I just want to commend the town for undertaking that sort of like plan within a plan, because it's very helpful to see how those recommendations are going to play out in a specific location, like the showgrounds. It's I think a very good.
Julia, I think this might also be the forum, and Jim, you're aware, just like Rick and myself are, on ongoing talks
Yes, sir.
to bring this back to the forefront. It's a little more complicated than the average person can imagine, but money falls right at the root of this. But there are talks with major stakeholders on the preservation of the Olympic torch, and possibly the area bigger than around the torch. So I don't want members of the public to think that this is forgotten about. It isn't. It has to fit when it can fit, and I believe we're very close to that.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that, thank you.
Rick, do you want to add to that, anything that we've gone through? But there is an effort underway.
By various stakeholders, yes. So
Yep.
We're excited about it.
With that being said, is there anything further? Thank you very much for the interest. It's great to see more than half a dozen people here, so.
Good evening. Excuse me. Maybe I'm not sure that this is the right moment, but and this is the very first time for me to be at this meeting. Is this a time when the public can also speak and ask questions? Is it?
About
Is it
the
how it
comp
works?
plan?
Sorry?
Is your question about the comprehensive plan?
No, it's not.
Yeah, not right now.
No,
Okay,
at the end of
thank
our
you.
agenda is an opportunity for people to speak. And we are just about to start the core of our town meeting now.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Take care. Good night, all.
I see where you get your chair. It's only good for like 5 minutes. Slow. No, you gotta just start sliding now.
Yeah.
It's gonna change your course. Okay, so. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't exactly go before.
That is true.
All right, fellas, let's
Part of it. Part of that.
let's move ahead. Andrew, thank you.
Have a good day.
Jackie, we'll save it.
Yeah,
Save your seat.
smile.
I'm leaving here. I'm leaving.
Come on. Coming back for our
See you.
second executive session.
Julia, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got it.
But it'll be the last meeting, so, yeah, thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda. Easy one, we need to accept the board minutes from both April 8th and May 13th. Second by Dick. Any further discussion? All in favor?
There's one correction.
Okay,
Sorry, I didn't get this to you live. But Derek was remote. And I'm trying to find it here. And the sentence said that Derek Doty opened the meeting at.
Oh.
So if you could just change that.
Yeah.
Copy of an agenda. If not, I can. pull it up.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, never mind. Derek's got one right here.
That's just the one, sorry, I didn't get that for you. Sooner, I just saw it. So. You know where that is?
The beginning, or at the beginning of the.
It's a May meeting,
It's that beginning.
Oh,
right
maybe.
at the beginning,
Oh, yeah.
so with that change. Please.
You say Rick Channel.
All right, accept the amendment, all in favor? Aye. Carries. All right. Seeker, we already took care of previously, so.
So the only, well, I think this actually old business seeker was about the comp plan and seeker.
Right.
It's not about long distance seeker. So we could discuss that, you know.
Okay, because we haven't accepted it yet.
Yeah.
anyway. Okay. Comp policy. Maybe you wanna just speak to the changes you did after we spoke with Jeremy?
Yes, Jeremy and Ken, we just added in, the only change was. If you have it, if you don't, eligibility exempt employees. There was concern that exempt employees, when there's excessive. Substantial extra hours beyond their regular duties, that they too can be eligible for comp time. Under the discretion of the supervisor / manager. So that was the.
That's good.
addition.
And in event situations and stuff, we cross that path quite often.
Right.
And you're okay with the language?
I am, yeah.
So you had mentioned kind of that flexibility, does this reflect the sort of the flexibility that the last time we had this discussion?
But I mean, I'm happy with what it ended up to be.
Yeah, this is our third pass, so.
Yeah.
So it's more having the department head essentially have some sort of flexibility. there.
Right. I'll take a motion.
Moved.
Jason, second. Emily, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. No one opposed, carries. Okay, this kind of falls on Dick and Emily with cannabis funds and applications.
We to do the onboarding policy, or is that just for?
That was.
That was a mistake. It should have
Typo.
been.
Oh, okay.
I was just looking for an onboarding policy, so. Good.
No.
Do this anything.
I was looking for it.
Next month, stay tuned.
Oh, sure.
I'll let Emily do that because she can talk faster.
I can. So we have 3 pending applications. Do you have one you want to talk about first? Here, we'll talk about the ones that we're gonna approve tonight. So-
Which one you doing, book fair?
Yeah, I'll do the book fair first. So, we had Haley and I had a follow-up conversation with, a bunch of people from the book festival. And you all have this application, so sponsored by John Brown Lives, that's the nonprofit that sponsors us.
One in August.
Yes.
Yes.
So on the call today, we had probably 5 or 6 members of the book festival, which is like a subcommittee of veteran of John Brown Lives. And we just had some questions about the budget, because I don't think you guys saw the budget, but the budget was actually balanced. And so we were wondering where our funds would come in. And we were able to get to the bottom of that, and we had a confirmation email from Martha, Haley left. That they currently, in their budget, they were counting on cannabis funds, and that's why they balanced. And so we asked them to provide an updated dollar amount for how much they raised in grant funding, and that dollar amount is $1,100. So my suggestion, and Dick and I talked earlier, would be that we sponsor $11,000, I'm sorry, and the budget was 15,500. So I would suggest that we award them $4,500 to make up that difference, and then their budget will be balanced again.
That follows the policy more closely in the 5,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I gave them a little speech about the reason for going to the 10 was a one-time incident with the police, because to me, it was a direct relationship with drug use. And so I felt like it was worth the 10,000
Sure.
ask for what the police department was asking for.
Correct.
And it was a great use of these funds.
Yeah, like I forgot till we talked about it. And
Well, about
obviously
the police
Emily
department.
remembered.
Oh, yeah, you talked before. Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys forget these things?
Keep going.
You want motions and approval one at a time?
No, we can do it. That'll be.
Okay.
All right, do you have anything to add to that?
No, you got everything. I got.
Anyone have any questions about it?
No.
Um,
I guess I'd just like to make a statement. you know, recurring, like this is.
I told them that as well, they specifically asked that question, so I didn't have to tell them, I said, no, this is meant as a one-time infusion and it is not recurring, so they, yeah, correct, they know that they cannot plan this, like, they have to budget differently next year or find different sources of revenue, we are making up a shortfall for this year.
Right.
Adirondack Center for Writing. So I actually had not heard much about this organization, so I spent some time looking it up and researching them. This is the multi-generational teen-led story collecting with podcasts.
So is it so I have,
You printed it.
Oh,
so on the agenda, there's just.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a typo.
That's a typo.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But that was in your supporting documentation, because Derek printed it, so it was there. Yeah, there's only 3.
There's only 3, yeah.
So I have Shipman Youth Center, Camp Plaza, what does that one fall under?
After.
I
Shipman.
will talk about Shipman Youth, I'm not sure why Camp Placid is in.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's there.
Yeah, that's, no, forget that.
you can address it,
I can, sure.
okay,
Diane.
when we get to it.
Okay.
So Adirondack Center for Writing, so everyone sees that in their packet. It's like a legitimate ask, it's a legitimate
Yeah,
nonprofit.
that one's, yeah, okay.
And the project is based, so it's a new project that they want to undertake where it's multi-generational, so it's teens and seniors. And this one spoke to me because I really love multi-generational projects. And if you recently read that the Adirondack Research Consortium had this whole thing with Adirondack Foundation about, if there's a social deficit in the Adirondacks too, of like people being connected. So anything that speaks to like social connections, I think is a great thing to support. Their budget clearly showed a deficit of what they needed assistance with, and it's $4,600, I believe.
Yes.
But when Dick and I were reviewing this, the one thing what made it similar to the Saranac Lake, the Mount Pisgah ask, the Saranac Lake Community Ski Program, is that it's outside of North Elba. So what we had asked Mount Pisgah to do was really have a targeted marketing approach to Lake Placid and North Elba residents, since because they had been handing out pamphlets and flyers to
Right.
everyone in Petrova and Bloomingdale, but not Lake Placid or St. Agnes, which was, they wanted to boost their program too, so they were happy to expand their marketing. And so I think I would suggest that we approve this, but we also ask, they have $600 for marketing, that we ask that those marketing materials include residents in North Elba, because it would be multi-generational, so whether it's reaching out to Elderwood, Will Rogers is in North Elba, but I bet they're probably already on their marketing list. But just thinking about the other side of North Elba when they're doing their marketing for students and for seniors. So that's their initiative for that one.
That's the only stipulation.
And then for Shipman Youth, I had asked Haley, so this is for funds for assist in the purchase of the building. I had asked Haley to ask for an update on their current fundraising and just where the project stands right now. And the response was they're gaining traction. They have $12,000 raised so far, and they need 57, and that they don't have a contract yet. So in speaking and discussing it with Dick, we think that it would be prudent to ask them to keep us posted right now on their fundraising process and to let us know when they have a signed contract.
Yeah,
So you're sort of recommending that we award them the 10,000?
No.
No, that we wait.
We wait.
Okay.
We asked them for, and not that we have like some endpoint, like when they reach 25,000, we'll put something in, but we would just like to see a little bit more progress on the fundraising side. And also a contract. They don't have a contract to purchase with the school district. And I think that's kind of a bigger sticking point for me. Like I want to see like a legally binding contract before we give them money for the purchase of the
Yeah,
property.
this has been ongoing for a little bit, obviously. Personally, I think there should be, maybe there is more funds we don't know about, but they should be further ahead in fundraising by now.
That's what I'm understanding.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
but what the conversation is that we're amenable to giving them 10.
Yeah.
When it's getting closer, whenever the conversation.
no,
Five.
No, oh, 5, oh, sorry, the 5, so when they're getting
I think
closer.
people started asking for 10 because we gave the police department
I
10.
know,
right, yeah.
So you're saying, but they can say they can bank the 5 as they get closer, as they're having these conversations?
Yeah, but I would say that we did not decide on a actual moment, like it's
No.
not like when they get the contract or when they get to 20,000 or 25,000, we just said. We're gonna say to them, keep in touch, when you have a signed contract, let us know, and when you have acquired some more funds.
Yeah.
Let us know.
this is actually the first time that I can remember conversation centering around something that is not tangible. Every applicant has had a program or something that
It is a different type of ask.
it's a different ask, so I think with us being willing to keep an eye on things that
Yeah.
are going on, we're not saying no, but we need,
We're not saying yes either,
right,
right? I mean, we're keeping it open and tabling it or whatever you want to say. But to Emily's point, the signed contract is a biggie. So if they're not gonna do that, I mean, until that point, we're not even gonna
Oh,
consider
it
it.
don't make total sense what I was saying within that fundraising realm, if they know they have 5 from the cannabis, when they have a conversation to 5,000 closer when they're asking for.
in no way does our hesitance diminish the importance of
No, no,
showing. That's not what this message is.
Sure.
This is about, we gotta know where you're at, because dumping a little into a bucket that.
Yeah.
We need an end game.
Yeah,
Sure,
Yeah.
I agree.
and again, as Emily said, we're not gonna put any dollar amount on that either, as far as, you know, when you reach a point, no, we'll just track it.
We just need more.
But the other thing I would say is that we agree that the standard is 5,000. There was
Yes.
an exception for the police department, so like, I don't see us giving them 10,000.
Right.
I think it's realistic to say 5,000
Yes.
if they meet some future goals.
No,
Yes.
no, you know, but the belabor the point, it's one of those.
Well, I just want to clarify that it wasn't 10,000,
Oh,
or that's not what we are
Yeah,
recommending.
it was an ask and purely an ask.
And then Jeremy, do you want to talk about Camp Placid?
Yeah, so I brought this up during working session, I think it was last week, that. So with kind of the revisioning of Camp Placid, more programming for participants. We've tried to utilize resources within the community that are offering those free of charge to Camp Placid. We do have a number of people doing that. But in some cases, they're also business owned operations and they require, some incentive to do it. So while a lot of places have given us discounted pricing, we don't have in the budget enough money to be able to cover those opportunities for the kids. So we're still getting all of that together, but this is more of like a notice that will be coming with an application or request in July, right before Camp Placid starts, for covering some of those opportunities for the kids.
Yeah, and I think this was my advice before, and I'll stick to it unless someone wants to say I'm wrong. But I think it's not an application. You just come to us with a budget adjustment and we'll come back at you with a yes or no on where the money is coming from.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
They also, if I may add to that, Jeremy and Adrian did inventory.
I saw that.
Yeah, I saw, yeah.
And
Some,
there's great need for, unless they're just gonna throw balls at the kids and let them go play, so.
Yeah, so a lot of.
It's going to be educational, like.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a lot of equipment and things were used last year during the
Right.
camp, and so those, some of those things are just kind of regular things that we replenish.
Disposable
But then
stuff, yeah.
I also think there were things that, they moved from long building to upstairs storage in the kitchen, then to the Farrier building. And pieces of different games and things like that, they're gone. I mean, we went through it last week. So we've reclaimed as much as we can, but yeah, there is a fair amount of stuff that we have to get, but I think Alicia has been pretty prudent and budgeting for that, and what the expenses are is pretty reasonable, I think.
what's the cannabis balance at?
Okay, so Kathy is not on the call.
No, she was working late.
Oh, okay. So I asked Kathy for that today, and it's approximately $40,000 left before any of these are awarded. And the other caveat of that is that we haven't received money from the county since August of 24.
Yes.
But the county has not received money, so it's not the county, it's actually the business.
It's the state.
The state, not the business.
Right.
Sorry, thank you for, I thought it was the business. It's
No.
the state.
There's been proof shown that all
Okay.
relative taxes have been paid.
Well, that's good to know.
It's not being distributed. Right. So questions are out there.
It's the state, so the state is deciding to go back on.
Yeah, I didn't say
Hey,
that.
hey, everyone,
Yeah.
we'll give you some tax revenue if you say yes. Oh, we're just kidding now.
That's better than what I thought it was. I really thought it was the business, so I'm glad that's.
Me too, I feel better about that. So what is are we, thinking of just doing this ongoing cycle until it's depleted?
Well, in our policy, it's 75% of it, what is ever is left at the end of the cycle goes back into the general fund.
Or
Yeah.
exceeds something?
Correct.
So it's not gonna
What
exceed.
if the balance exceeds by 75%, right?
Well, we got 6 months of spending to do. Don't you worry about.
It's August. It's August.
Yeah.
Yeah, so start spending.
I'll work on that.
I was gonna say, Jeremy, you better go.
That wasn't directed at you.
Oh, I have ideas. It needs.
All right, so you have a recommendation for us.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
for Lori's sake, the recommendations are $4,600 to Adirondack Center for Writing with the condition that they market to the North Elba side.
Yeah.
North Elba / Lake Placid side. And 4,500 to the Adirondack Book Festival. And I won't reiterate the shipment youth one, but the shipment youth one is on hold.
So you're making the motion?
Yes.
Second,
Second,
Dick, any further discussion? Other than thanks for covering that. It takes some time by the time you guys review everything.
yeah,
I think that's fantastic. You've done a great job and it's made a significant impact.
oh, I think it has, yeah.
All right,
Now
all
we
in
do, now we
favor?
just get some
Aye.
funds.
Aye. No one opposed, carries. Thank you. This next item about the peak really is just an update that we are, I don't know, you wanna find the right words?
No.
No?
I have nothing to say about it.
Okay.
I second.
We're in a process of discussing a change in what is being formatted, if you will. The original peaks plan hovered at 355 units. It is downscaling now to 274. So we are in conversations with the different proportions, if you will, that call for a certain percentage of income-based housing. Number of apartment buildings, number of higher end condos. So it's just ongoing talks with Joe Burrell, the developer. Certainly, we'd love to see that project commence. It's been off the tax market for quite some time now. And those revenues certainly will be appreciated, so we continue to talk with the developer to find the right proportion. All right, let's move on to another touch base on these proposed steel buildings at the showgrounds. As I'm well aware, there's been initial concern over moving in that direction, at least at this time. So I think it best that we tackle our primary phase of the long building now. The only aspect of steel buildings that we may still consider, and that would very likely be maybe an initial investment in a building at the showgrounds. And I'll tell you why I think you should still consider that initial building. I think I'm gonna let Jeremy speak a little bit. And I don't know how in-depth you want to get with what's in front of us for a new proposal. But I don't see any reason why we can't at least shed some light on what's being proposed up there and how a building with this new group, we could possibly secure some investment.
Right, so as many of you know, we've been working with an outside marketing group with one of the large tire manufacturers about renting the athletic fields parking lots for a 3 to 4 year contract where they would actually set up a course in the winter months and test tires and let their dealers and representatives come and do that. It's a pretty significant investment from the company. They've been in contact with and through Roost to hotel properties, to catering companies. But one of the requirements that they have is they need a place to actually store and work on the vehicles, change tires, things like that. So they have like kind of a pit area, so to speak. But they also need a place for catering where they can offer classes and seminars. It doesn't need to be a finished area, but you just set up some tables and chairs and that kind of thing. So they need a space that we currently don't have and we don't have access to. They have verbally committed some monies to this. I've been checking my phone regularly to see if they've come back with an offer. But it was a 5-figure amount that would guarantee them kind of use of that facility while they're here, a place to store some tires through the summer months, but that but after that and however else that we wanted to utilize the building otherwise, it would be ours moving forward. So we would have some source of funding that could go towards it. I'm just waiting for a commitment from them on what that would look like.
And they have not been here, but the geographics of it would not be a problem having it remote. In other words, across the road.
Correct, not a problem. I mean, they need it within relative distance. I said, to go out and around is like a mile.
Right.
And they, that's not a concern for them. They just don't want to have to come all the way back into town.
Right.
They were looking at what other, not having been here before, he actually mentioned to me earlier, he goes, well, we've been looking into commercial space that we could rent. But it doesn't really appear that there's very much of that.
Oh, I know someone who knows a lot about commercial space.
There's an airport.
Well, so we did suggest that initially, but I think the way that the T hangars are set up, it's not very conducive for them to be able to do that.
Is there, would there be, with our existing buildings, would there be available space that they could store things in? I'm not saying the catering or the events or anything.
Yeah, I think from the aspect of after the winter season, after they're done utilizing, I do think that one of the hangar spaces that Park District has right now that we're using for storage, we could consolidate, and we are actually going through those. Eric and I and Trent went through those a week or two ago and we're already starting to consolidate. So I do think that we could, get the tires out of kind of that new building kind of for the summer months, so you really had a much broader use of the building.
Cause you don't wanna have the building.
Yeah.
And a bunch of tires stacked, tires stacked at the
In
end.
the corner, yeah.
Yeah.
Understood.
Okay, we got room for that, that's cool.
Yeah.
We already have stacks across the street. We don't need them.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah.
A lot of.
So as soon as I can get a figure, I'll obviously share.
That's
that
good.
forward.
So I'd like to keep at least consideration for one building on the agenda.
Well, in the economics of your long building, I'll call it your long building.
Long building.
Yeah.
Get you a Rocco Salons plaque.
Sorry, and obviously, this has occurred to me previously, but just thought since we started with the SE Group 2 and they're talking about the utilization of the horse show grounds for community-based programming and things, certainly that's a draw would be the long building throughout the year, because that's gonna be both heated space and air conditioned space, but if you need a bigger space to hold a jamboree or some type of show or.
Yeah, love jamboree.
Right, yeah. So it was an easy word that came up. It does create an opportunity for Park District to support on venue, and I think, some of the challenges that I've had in the transition here and at all your requests too, is being able to consolidate and try to bring groups to the venue instead of sending Park District staff and resources out into the community to other places, which also becomes a liability for work product and so on. So having another space that is weatherproof really does open up some possibilities.
And it satisfies the demand.
It
Eric,
does.
do we have any design drawings or just of where it would face and what the visuals would be?
Very soon.
Well, it's also on the, it's the Horse Show Grounds and Athletic Fields Master Plan is coming up. That has like schematics of where Derek would have to tell you which one he's talking about, because I think it has 12 on there.
Right.
But
I'm just saying, how you do it like mock-ups, architect, the design, it's usually computer generated, but if they place it where it would approximately.
yeah, so this is like a site plan where it shows where they
Yeah,
are.
that's right.
But that we have asked SE Group to produce some, like visual, that's not the right word either, it's like
Renderings.
Drone shots.
rendering.
Yeah.
Cause they have those shots already, so they're gonna insert, a couple.
Was it the thought down near the new parking area? That's what you're.
Uh,
I don't
At the
remember what it was
showgrounds?
sold.
For position.
yes, yeah, and you see, down there, we could run them long and narrow so that. Like, my vision is one to be open air, one to have sides on it. So it serves for inclement weather and the summer type situation for a whole host of events. And to be running parallel with a parking lot now that can handle well over 100 cars makes every not-for-profit have like their own site for fundraisers or whatever. And anyway, well, I'll bring it up when it's more applicable toward outside revenue. So I guess the easiest way to say it, I'm proud so far that everything we're doing at Showgrounds hasn't been introduced into the tax base. We've found a way to basically fund everything down there through grants, through occupancy tax, which is funded by the users of this community. And we're gonna transfer that money so that it involves the community and visitors. And of course, that's the mission statement of occupancy tax anyway. So I feel we've done so much down there without not a single taxpayer having saying, you raise my taxes $300 a year. That hasn't happened.
You've been fantastic about that for 4 years. You've been introduced to a lot of projects that have benefited the community, but not, and been, the bill hasn't been.
Our
raised on that.
pickleball courts, I mean, it was rescue fund money, but anyway, I'm getting off topic, so. In any respect, we're gonna keep that on the agenda as well. Anything further with that? Okay, let's move on to this new septic law, which I think is a great step forward into preserving our water source and updating the overall health of the lake through inspections of septic systems. Other than me, did any one of you want to talk about the amendments to the current law? Basically, you want to do it?
No.
No? All right.
I'm trying to remember.
Okay, it basically boils down to. If any property on the lake. Wants to sell their property. There has to be an inspection. By an engineer that knows septic systems. All inspections on the lake in a sale situation. Has to be given to our town of North Elba. We have to have that inspection on file. It goes beyond that so that the seller and the buyer accept before the closing of a sale that improvements or new septic system, whatever's being called for, has to be adhered to and agreed to. That typically won't be a problem in the summer and fall months. But if a shore owner should decide to sell in September, and access to that camp isn't available, then an inspection is still gonna have to be done before closing with that same adherence to the policy where seller and buyer agree to fix that system. I probably was a little harder on the law than I needed to be, but my overall worry is that non-compliance in any form in the sale of a property where a new buyer comes in and the septic system isn't up to code, enforcement falls on the town, and I tried to avoid something that is virtually impossible to do, and that's enforcement in this. So this law goes a long way to protecting the lake, protecting real estate sales, and letting a new buyer come in at the responsibility of the current owner. I think that's the most basic way I can say what this law accomplishes.
I do believe it said in there that the engineer must be familiar with septic systems, correct?
Oh, right,
Yeah,
yeah,
not just, get an engineer.
that's right,
And they can close in the winter months, it's just that they have to have an agreement
that's right.
that says it will be inspected and the owner is liable.
Like
Like
the
the seller, sorry,
Yeah,
the
the
seller is
seller.
liable.
Did they decide how it was going to be documented and filed, the town? What did Darcy say?
They have a system, but I was hoping that it was like a system I could flip through, but
I think that would be reasonable.
I think it's a file.
yeah, it's a file.
Yeah,
Which you can flip through, and there's all these like little hand notes all through it. And I think they've slowly been digitizing that.
Okay, so.
We can
what
bring
I'm
that
hearing-
back up at workshop though.
Okay.
I will say the one aspect I didn't push, and I still may consider it, is that the town hire its own engineer to look at another engineer's report so that there is
It's a good
no bias.
Yeah,
That's a good
I like that idea.
Because, without getting into all the different options in septic systems, it depends on the ground, it depends on the distance. There are so many determining factors on what type of system you put in. On that west shore, people have to pump effluent to the top of the hill. There's just not enough distance between rock ledge and the water. So in many cases, I feel sorry for a lot of shore owners. It doesn't change the fact we gotta protect our water.
One worst case scenario, like most important is on the part of us.
What about the instance of a shared system?
That is. I don't wanna say it's on a case-to-case system. But a lot of that will rely on the actual property owner, whether he will still accept that and accept the liability for people outside of the boundaries of what he owns in sharing a system. Because bringing a multiple building system up to code, like for instance with an Elgin system, means that the square footage area has to be huge. I can say, and you and I think we're on the same cruise.
Yep.
With shared systems that are a cesspool.
Oh, yeah.
That is just plain out.
Yeah.
Those are the things we have to cure against. So in high water areas and oversaturation hits tributaries and it's directly back into the lake, those are the things we have to eliminate.
Yeah.
So this is a great step forward.
That's my only concern is, and I don't have any answers, is shared systems.
Dick, did you notice if it was mentioned in here or not?
I just thought of it.
It more becomes more of an issue with the owners and their neighbors.
Right.
If a system meets the qualification or the demands on the volume.
Oh, yeah.
Based on bedrooms, based on bathrooms, the whole bit.
That's assuming that the system passes the inspection.
Yeah,
But if you've got a shared system and you're trying to sell your property here and the tank is here and it's not right,
well, who do you think the responsible person is? It's the property owner.
that's it.
So it won't surprise me to see shared systems becoming obsolete.
Well, that's the thing, because now this owner wants.
Well, not necessarily. It depends if there's an equal agreement.
Yeah, that's the thing. This guy wants to sell his property, but it's not, the system, the septic isn't even on his property.
Yeah. They'll have to sort it out.
How frequent is there a frequency of that?
More than you think.
Oh, yeah,
Think.
yeah.
But they're slowly getting
Sure,
because when people buy them, they're like, we don't want you on here.
Right.
Yeah.
So the market it'll take care of itself in theory.
Oh, yeah,
Slowly.
to a certain degree.
But this is always saying the owner of I'm just thinking about it, so it's always saying the owner of the property, so if you don't own your septic, you don't
Right.
control whether it's fixed or not, like
That's it,
you're
man.
always gotta be on the property owner.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way to make this law affect people who don't own their septic
Yeah,
system.
no, it's tough, but that's the thing.
Nick, I
And that's why
apologize,
it's
because you're
important to
just
know.
getting back in this latest version.
Mhm.
We really just got a few days
No,
ago.
I read it. I
Okay,
did.
good.
I did read it.
We can amend this too, if there's any sort of issues that come up.
This is a 2019 law that we're amending tonight.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying with these unintended consequences, potentially.
Potentially, we
Provided
can
that we
amend
can
that
make
again.
amendments based on.
Yeah, we could amend it again.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I just thought.
Are you guys prepared to accept this law tonight? I take a motion.
But I think we have to have a public hearing. You mean like we accept it to go to public hearing?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So moved. Second.
Second by Dick. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. That carries. So Lori, how do we move forward now? Do you get involved with moving this amended law?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll talk to Tim and get the clean copy, not
Yep.
the amended, and then you'll set the public hearing. And I'll have the in the public hearing notice, I'll write that the proposed law
Okay.
is, yeah, so it'll have to be of 2025.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll have
Do I need to remind you tomorrow or?
No.
Okay,
Are we looking at doing the public hearing? So obviously 10 days, are we looking at a workshop or the next one?
well, I'm guessing if everything works out, we may do 2 of them, right? Because we'll do them before our meeting in Saranac Lake in July.
Yeah, like, so.
We could start at 5 o'clock,
Yeah.
15 minutes,
5:15.
5:15, because we have to set.
So I'll advertise for a public hearing for a proposed law, which is available in the office.
So-
And, yeah,
So then let's propose that public hearing for July 8th. In Saranac Lake, because that's where we are in July. Do you think 5:15 is sufficient, or do you think there will be,
I think could probably be safe to do 5.
all right, 5
5
P M?
o'clock.
Just because I would expect some public, I was trying to accommodate more public comments, not shut the public out to clarify.
Or we can always go early to some sort of watering hole.
Well-
Make our way back.
And listen, you have to look at the possibility in a failing system, on a big sale. You could be talking $30,000 to $100,000. Okay, and I don't mean it's capped at 100 because there's so many variables.
And on a lake in particular, because like I said, you got
Yeah,
lift stations, you got pumps, you got everything to go up.
all right, let's move on to Horse Show Grounds and Athletic Fields Master Plan. Now, because we won't be accepting the comp plan until July, I still think I should ask you if you are in agreement to accept our athletic fields master plan. There are no more talking points that I know of.
No, my only question was, I don't know where I was thinking you would find it, because I know where to find it. Have you guys seen it?
Nope.
No.
Okay, so it was supposed to be included in supporting documentation through a folder, but it should have been like a digital link, but you don't have it.
Well, and
So we can wait, it's not a big deal, we can wait until July.
Yeah.
It seems like it would make sense too, to kind of maybe adopt.
do it together.
Yeah.
Okay, July agenda. And, so how come you and I have received it? Is that,
Because we were on the steering.
Okay.
Time, whatever.
so I guess I'll put an asterisk, send plan. And Julia or Elena can,
No, we have it, I
Yeah.
sent it, it's a folder,
Yeah, but-
there's actually not like a document, I mean, it's literally a folder, like a Google Drive that you access and look at.
Okay.
it's on Google.
Yeah.
Okay,
Your favorite mode.
Eric's favorite.
don't start.
Thank you.
What he said.
Okay, so I'm computer illiterate.
No, I think he's taking more than one person in here.
Yeah. All right.
Do you have a date?
I'm looking, no, I never sent it to you. I sent it to Adrian to share as the board packet.
Good personal actions.
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
I was gonna go back when he finished the resolution.
Yeah, it was kind of an odd word though.
It was. And Derek knew that, that's why he skipped it.
Yeah.
Which one?
The national.
Personal actions.
Usually put it at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know why.
You did, you're okay, you
I
did it,
don't know why.
you know you did it on purpose.
yeah, by mistake.
Every time, every time.
All right, let's talk a little bit about annexation, Pine View Village Apartments. We've talked about this twice previously. And, we're in agreement to be okay with the annexation of Pine View Village Apartments because it borders the actual boundary of the village of Saranac Lake. There are quite a few determining factors that led to us being okay with the annexation. Let's talk a little bit about the benefit to the owner. The first thing they complained about was double or triple water rates to the residents over there. There are 48 apartments. So it's a sizable community. As you know, the village of Saranac Lake supplies that water district of North Elba with water, and because it's outside of the village boundaries, they get tagged pretty seriously. Also, in annexation, the owner would gain relief from the responsibility and the cost of plowing because that road would be turned over to the village. And their liability insurance by giving away right away to the village of Saranac Lake would save considerable money.
But most importantly,
Yeah,
the benefits of the town.
the benefit to the town is that there was
There's
a
only one.
previous.
Right.
Yeah,
That's significant.
the most major one is that. There was a document signed when those apartments were built that if annexation ever did come up. And we refused over something like the cost of water or whatever. We could be mandated or forced to form a special water district over there. That investment would be tremendous on our part, especially because we would rely on water from the village of Saranac Lake. You know, I had researched the feasibility of running from our new tank on Mackenzie Pond Road, going a mile some
You
to
do.
bring water to it. It's not that simple.
Hmm.
So I think we should. Now, what do we lose? And I still have to verify these with Todd, who actually gave these rates to me. We would lose some fire protection from the Raybrook area of $2,200 and some highway revenue of $1,235. So, you know, under $4,500 to lose as opposed to major investment in a water district. And to the residents over there, this actually is an ethical good thing to do for them. They will have to have village taxes now. But they will benefit. So with that being said, I have a resolution here that Lori helped me fill out. Approving the annexation of 54 Willow Way, located in the town of North Elba, into the village of Saranac Lake. The village of Saranac Lake, as you know from our previous meeting, has passed a resolution to the same. And we'll share our two resolutions probably as soon as tomorrow, and the process will continue. It takes a while for this to happen. But if you're still of the same mind from our previous two meetings, I'd like a motion to accept this resolution approving annexation.
So moved.
So moved by Dick, second by Jason. Further discussion.
You need,
Roll call.
Roll call.
Yep. Okay, do you wanna do the roll call?
what do I wanna do?
Or I can
I
do it.
mean, yeah.
Jason?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Rick?
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so it's unanimous. Did you retain a copy of this? Should I give you this one?
I don't know, I have it on the, I have a.
Okay.
Is that the version that Mark gave us?
Yes,
Yes.
uh,
16.
we already set the public hearing date for the new septic law. Let's do committee reports before we get into personnel actions.
We know, we're confident, we know what you're doing.
No, believe me, you guys keep me on task here almost monthly.
Well,
Okay, so we already said that.
the first steps, they say Diana sent out the letters and selected the 22 people and all of them live or work or live in North Elba, so. We're moving forward with that, and there's been some additional sort of fundraising, so there's been 10, I think, to 20,000 additional funds.
That's great.
MJ is coming in and she's brought in a couple of people who are out around that foundation and given some guidance as far as fundraising, so.
Off to a good start.
Mhm.
Good. I think it's amazing that through the last year or so, all our research showed a demand of at least 24 to 26.
Mhm.
And how many couldn't we take? A
Mhm.
dozen?
No, 23, 55 applications.
Oh, 55.
Yeah.
Wow. So the demand remains.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that 22 is the max capacity.
Right.
we can.
Thanks.
Do we know, just curious, probably don't, do we know if those, how many of that 55 were people needing it and coming from someplace else? Or
I can ask.
I just,
They didn't mention it with, Katie Turner did mention it in her
you know,
update to the.
just wondering if it's 55 new families that currently don't have childcare,
Mhm.
that's worse than if it's 40.
Sure.
Okay.
Other committee reports?
Cemetery. A new committee.
I called you out, I talked to Dick, I'm like, there's talk of fence and your name did not come up.
But I was gonna bring this quickly back to the comp plan stuff, Jason, is like, this is a perfect example of like something that's not in the comp plan. That maybe like Development Commission would have taken on if Development Commission still existed, but it's like project based,
Sure.
right? So like Kenny's like, yeah, I would love some input on what the cemetery should look like with the
Sure.
trees down. And also people were like, can we help you with the cemetery? And perfect convergence of things that are actually gonna accomplish the thing. Okay, go ahead.
So now getting it accomplished.
Yeah.
So, for those that don't know, we took down 31 trees.
50 something, I thought.
Well, over
37.
time, 31 came down together, I think.
Okay, I thought it was thinking.
Which really left a barren wilderness down there. And so.
I don't think anyone missed that.
So what to do with the view shed, so to speak, of the cemetery? And there's been ideas tossed around from trees to fences to armed guards to whatever. So there's been a few community members who have stepped forward saying, sure, I'll be on a committee. It's going to be probably a 1-meeting committee.
Yeah.
But because planting trees back there is not an option, it disrupts the graves, disrupts everything, so.
It's the salt.
Yeah,
The salt
Yeah,
and mold,
it's
everything.
the proximity to the road is just such that, it's not possible. So just putting it out there, if you know of anybody who would like to be on this committee, as I say, there's been, a couple of people, Derek gave me a name, I've gotten a call from one person. Please let me know and we'll move this thing forward.
No, that's great. All right, I have a couple short things. We have an applicant for Lake Patrol. Terry Bukowski's not returning.
Okay.
He's preferred to look for full-time employment. Terry was good for us and gave us good reports. Our applicant is Rich Fitzgerald.
Oh, okay.
That spends a lot of time
Yeah.
on the water, so
Yeah.
he knows all those safety issues. And I think it important that we continue the same mission statement, if you will. We're there for education. We're there for a presence. I'm gonna stick to the same guns that our Lake Patrol person is not a person on call. It's not call up and complain. If there are complaints, I will field them. And then I'll be glad to move any concerns on to Rich. I have to get back to him to confirm hours, but we're gonna follow the same type schedule. Because, you know, he works full
I was
time.
gonna say, that would be my, it's a mild concern, but that would be my somewhat of a concern.
Weekends are not a problem at all, and he
Okay.
plans to take at least half of the work week at lunch hour to be out there. When it's the heat of the day, and it's
Okay. No.
typically when most boaters are out there.
And he would understand when to be, you know.
Yeah.
No, I'm fine with it, but that was my only concern was to spend enough time out there. That's all.
I feel good because he's already educated. I didn't need
Right.
We should add with the new requirement of New York
Yes.
State voters have licenses, that should be part of his job description, is that he has a voting license.
And he does. That's the first thing he told me.
Okay,
Yep.
Is that part of the application process?
well, there's no,
Well, no,
it's,
formal.
yeah, and also it's a new
You
law.
need Jeremy for.
No,
I just wanted to check.
but I'm gonna cover all those points we talked about.
Okay.
Yeah,
But we do expect you to stay in.
I mean, that's up to you, but
Okay. I didn't want
Town policy just went into effect.
Oh, yeah.
if you use
Let it
the
go.
town policy on you first, my discretion, after about 90 hours, take a couple hours off.
But you do need during the whole thing to stand outside the door.
Just in
And you
case.
can't listen.
Have both of your phones on.
You're welcome, but you don't have to stay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we talked about Lake Patrol. The other thing I'd like to tell you. I might have briefly mentioned that Jim Dugan from the county is actually gonna gift the traffic light we use for lacrosse, you know, down at Recycle Circle. Typically, they never use it. The only time they use it is to us.
Oh, okay.
However, over the last 4 or 5 years, it needs a couple controllers and some new bulbs and stuff. I am offering to pay for that, seeing how he's gonna give it to us. It's like a $30,000.
But
Yeah.
my question is, in the past, he sent individuals down to set it up.
Yeah,
Is he gonna train somebody to do it?
no, because our individuals actually end up helping his
Okay.
people.
So we know how to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Gavin and
Mark.
Mark, Gavin and Mark are smarter than, I don't wanna make
No,
that
no,
statement.
you know what I mean. I mean,
Yeah.
You know,
I know they brought it down and they said, the quote unquote, the county has set it up.
Yeah,
But if Gavin and Mark were there to do it, have been there, cool.
yeah, but here's the caveat, it gets given to the town of North Elba, but for, hazardous climate
Hmm.
events or storms or flooding or whatever, should the county need it, we agree
We
to,
got it.
yeah.
Okay.
But it's a nice gesture on their part.
Yes.
And add to that next year, I mean, this year, Jeremy already put on a 47 team soccer, was it 47 teams? So it approaches the amount of traffic where now we would need it for 2 events. So it's gonna be a good acquisition. That's all I've got. Anything further on committee? No? All right, now let's move to personnel and audits. Let's see.
It's not budget adjustments.
Yeah, personnel.
Personnel is all straightforward.
Yeah.
You know, 3 lifeguards and Mark Bowen for cemetery. 1 laborer, Craig Wood.
I got 5 lifeguards and.
I mean, it's all bookkeeping, so.
Yeah.
Is there anything out of ordinary you think you need to reply? All the rates of pay are set rates.
Are we prepared to put the lake patrol on there so that can?
I think because it's seasonal, we can put them in and we'll notice it in July. I haven't confirmed what date he wants to start. We're actually a couple weeks later than last year,
Did you
but
wanna
it's
approve
been
them?
40 degrees at night and raining.
Did you want to approve them or no?
Yeah, I wanna approve the personnel actions.
No,
Rich.
Rich.
We can approve him as
As the lake.
as the lake patrol with pending
All the paperwork's in.
Pending rate.
Yeah, but that is same as last year and I have to reconfirm it with Kathy.
Just so he can,
So we'll add Rich Fitzgerald. And it's the same rate as last year. Again, I believe it's 24 or something. Yeah,
Is just, this is kind of an aside to that, because I know. Well, I'll ask it. Is Ken still responsible for getting the fuel for that?
yes,
Okay.
he chooses to because of that 4-stroke engine. We just don't wanna. Yeah,
Okay, that's fine.
all right, let's do personnel actions. I'll take a motion.
so moved.
Rick, second by Jason. Anything further? All in favor?
Aye.
No one opposed, that's carried, thank you. Let's talk about budget amendments. I don't think anything jumped out at me. Again, it's bookkeeping. A new cell phone for the youth commission director, you know, per Jeremy, that makes total sense.
Did the, sorry to interrupt, did the new pump for Craig Wood, did that make this one or will that go in the July one?
That I already signed the voucher for that.
Okay,
Yeah, so that's already in the system.
okay.
Yeah.
Alright, just wanted to, thanks.
It's Blackman Architecture.
I already signed for that too.
But it's where did you take the money from?
Well, here's this, just this, that's all I have, right?
What is that?
You must walk in there.
For now, until occupancy, that's where it's gonna come from.
But the envelope.
Is the- from
Sign on the
yeah.
envelope.
Yeah,
Okay,
yep,
That's for the.
so that's not about adjustment.
We
right.
did already.
Oh, you
No,
did?
yeah.
They're back in Derek's office.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
All right, so a motion to accept budget amendments.
you said
Yeah.
on the sign last page.
Second by Rick, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye, no one opposed, that's carried, thank you. All right, we've done that, I think we're caught up and ready for person's opportunity to speak. Anyone here in the audience? James, I know you sent a note, you had an interest to speak?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay. Understand. Derek, you said to me, I don't want to give me much time, but so rather than you taking up my time, is there anyone from the board can speak without taking up my time about what has developed maybe, who's about what concerns me and
I will let the board members decide if they want to respond. Certainly, I don't want to say we're not interested. Apparently you have something new to present. I'm assuming you're gonna talk to us about Paradox and the marina.
you asked me not to talk about Paradox.
No, I said we've already discussed it a couple times. It has been discussed and dismissed by us because the previous suggestions by you of using eminent domain and so forth were not an option. So if we're going there again, we're not gonna, but if you have something different that is even remotely possible and not putting us in a municipality going after private ownership, then we're willing to listen. But so I think let's hear you and we'll decide on comment after you speak to us.
Okay, yeah, I do have different suggestions. It's how to get town to build marinas. And first suggestion and questions I have for you is the fireboat. How is that fireboat service? Do you know of its record? Is it good to the people on the lake?
I will let the board members decide if they want to respond. Certainly,
Does it serve us well?
Question.
No,
Well, that's a,
Village.
that's a village question.
no, that's a town question. That's a fire protection district. I pay. At the lowest estimate, I pay $250 about for fire protection.
The village does the administrative aspect of that.
Yeah,
So they would have the
The
document.
town is, you are the town is the taxing authority over that.
Yeah.
And you,
You contract with the village to provide service.
Mhm.
The village buys the boat and you pay them for the boat through your tax dollars.
Sure.
You give that money back to the village.
are you concerned of the condition of the boat?
I'm just testing you guys out to put out the
Did we fail?
record.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Out to.
I guess we don't know the maintenance records of the boat.
I heard you're getting a new boat, or did you get it last year?
It's
Oh,
not
last
us.
year. No, last year,
The village controls the administration of the fire department.
And the building.
And the, thank you.
And the boat.
And the boat,
Yeah.
okay, that is a question for them.
Last year I heard they were in the process of buying a new boat.
Could be.
Okay, so you don't know.
We pay 68%.
Percent of their budget.
70% of the
Yeah,
budget.
we pay the majority of their budget, but we don't have the
Yeah.
control of the administration of the department.
Are you asking about the land itself?
Well, that's
I think
my
that's
concern,
right.
yeah, that's.
Yeah, I just wanna get
that agreement.
So are you asking about the land there?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Oh, and what was your question specifically about the land?
to move the fireboat, either eliminate it.
Okay.
Or trailer it in. Or move it centrally located on the lake.
So that-
Moose Island,
So that a
Marina.
marina could be installed
yes, yeah.
that would provide equal access from just residents of the town since they're paying for it and those who have homes on the lake. Is that what you're asking?
Yes,
Yeah, we might want to poll the shore owners or camp owners to. See
well, I
if
think there is a need for.
they're okay with the lack of fire protection.
It would, well, it would not be the
Well, I'll
last,
tell you, yeah.
the response time, you know.
No, it's
they would-
it
they
wouldn't
would-
change. I could just see how you have to pay drivers, that's just interesting.
But if you got a trailer or boat from the firehouse, launch it. And then take it to the respective location, or do you just go in and hop in the boat and go?
It's minutes away, it's minutes, different than a few minutes.
So the building has
Integrated.
two slips, so, let's just say this is a feasible idea. You take the boathouse down and run docks out there and take care of 24 more boats?
Yes,
No, you couldn't, because of the angle of it, it would cut off access to the green boathouse and to the public boat launch. It's not possible.
Right.
no,
There's also a concern, environmental concern about the water intake is right there.
It's huge.
That's a bigger concern.
true,
no, you own in, you own, it's, I'm sure it's sort of, fire.
Actually, doesn't the village own that
The
boathouse?
village, yes.
No, it's in the town, it's within the confines of the borders of the town.
But the village owns
The
it.
village owns
It
it.
owns it.
The village owns land in.
Yes,
Novelda.
yes. We have no access to Lake Placid, the village does.
So ask the village if they want to move to the boathouse.
Right.
Right. Okay. But for the record, I've been here 38 years. You know, just a few years ago, in the middle of the summer. A house burned down, it was a total loss, they lost the whole building. And then there's another cottage on West Lake, total loss. Prior to that is John Wilkins, he bought the house, the house burned down to the ground, 2 people died. Okay, this is in the middle of winter, middle of summer, okay, the service is terrible. So what's the use of a fireboat system? We could save the money on taxes.
Last year, there were at least 4 lives saved by using that boat for overturned canoes or sailboats or,
You're talking about our town pontoon boat.
no, they used the fire.
Oh, the fireboat, and we saved 2 canoers from our town boat.
Yeah, so. the fact
James,
is-
I think
Go.
I want you to know this, and this is for me personally. I'm terribly disappointed in what's happened at Paradox. I think your effort is somewhat admirable. But to come to a municipality and expect us to be able to fix that problem that is turning that lake into affluence alone, I don't agree with it. And I'm sure if I went around this table, we'd all feel the same. We can't find a way to fix it. And I know you'll keep coming here and putting your best foot forward, probably for years to come. It's municipality can't step on private property. And I'm sorry about the situation, but I'm not gonna give up our town educational boat to help people out on that lake now. And I know I don't wanna help remove the fire boat that does good things. There is an effort to look at what the town can do around that lake. It is minimal. I guess you know more than anyone.
Yeah, and it's kind of part of the comp plan that was presented earlier, because through the comprehensive plan, the public and the community have identified that they would like increase public recreational access to both lakes, to Mirror Lake and to Lake Placid. But it's not necessarily about marinas, it's just about increased access, you know, whether that's better parking, so people aren't parking on the shoulders of the roads, or safer parking, an updated launch at the village site. The town literally owns no property on the lake, which is crazy. I agree, it's crazy. The village has two pieces. They have the water intake in the water plant, and then they have their launch that's right next to Paradox. Those are both owned by the village and in the town, maybe not the village launch. I don't know where that line is, it's somewhere in there. But that, so mostly it's about ways to increase public access. It's not necessarily about marinas. And even if it was about marinas, let's say we went there, it's about increasing slips to increase access it's about increasing access for everyone. Does that make sense? It's not about providing 87 boat slips for people who have boat access only camps. It's about increasing access for everyone.
Well, I remind you of what we told you last year, it's incontrovertible fact that increased excessive prices beyond normal profit at a marina hurts your tax base dollar for dollar. So you're destroying your tax base there. Emily, you figured it out last year's about one.
Yeah, and I guess we'll see if that happens, like the first sale that happens.
It's incontrovertible, it has happened, even psychologically, it has happened. You reminded them of the psychological problem, the problem that you do have people extorting you at the marinas. Okay, so, well, okay, then, already you don't have a town police force, so we could do without it, that's a fire service. And then, well, the idea was that the water treatment plant, it's a very useful piece of property connected.
It's necessary.
We need a water treatment plant.
Yeah, but I still suck the water in the lake and treat it somewhere else.
That's a question for the
village.
Yeah, the village. And I have a feeling, and I say this with respect, that I would say nearly all the residents of the town or the village of Lake Placid would probably not entertain any sort of idea of wanting to move that and the costs associated with it. It doesn't seem reasonable. I think us taking Paradox Bay seems more reasonable than that idea.
But what about the water treatment plant? I don't know the answer, or you don't know it either. How is the state of the arts over there? Is it needed an update? Are you gonna have to go over it and do the modernization?
At the water plant?
Yeah.
They're spending millions
Well,
there right now.
If you're improving it, why don't you improve it somewhere else? That's.
Which is, I guess, is a question for the village, I guess.
Yeah, which is a question how you would ask the village, because I'm not getting
I
tired.
think it works for us. I think it works for every resident in the village of Lake Placid and the town of North Elba. I just doesn't work for you or sort of maybe as a small consortium of people that don't have access, have been priced out. Like, I think that's insane what they're doing at this, the amount of money, and I've had people come talk to me and they're livid about that. But I can't do anything about that. I don't think anyone in the town can do anything about that.
I'll have to remind you, you can do something about it.
I guess I'm not willing to take someone's property. I guess I'm not willing to be.
All of that in the village. All right, what we've ascertained is you need to take this appeal to the village. Okay? Listen, I'm starting to feel like gerbils on an exercise wheel now. So, James, respectfully, we're done.
No, I have one more thing, and if you think it's a terrible thing, and then you haven't thought of any solutions for us.
I think I just told you solutions through the comprehensive plan.
That's just not for the people who own properties and have.
Derek, I think we're done.
Yeah. James?
No, I have one question about that. Do you have a list? Because you're just one person, and I think way back was in Saranac Lake when you attended our meeting in Saranac Lake, and I asked if, is there any other shore owners? Is there a collective, whether it's small or growing, that feels the same way that you do, that you would like communicate in unison? Has there been any communication? Like I look at you like shore owners, because it seems like it's just you. So I guess there's not, from your communicating that without any sort of additional numbers, it doesn't seem to be like an excessive need, I guess.
So we did talk about it at a summer meeting. So it's the population of the lake is very elderly, feeble and weak, and they're of the age where they don't fight anymore. That's true. Now, one more thing is why don't you, I thought of getting a transfer tax on marinas to prevent this from ever happening again. You could tax them at least 100%, even up to 500% transfer tax to sell a marina.
Where does the money go?
It would come from the seller.
But where does it go? It goes to the
It goes
municipality?
to the town and the county.
But we don't have the
Or the lost
ability to create new taxes.
No, you do. Of course you create your own taxes.
Not new taxes, we have property taxes.
But you could create a transfer tax. Individual cities have different individual transfer tax.
You send me information about transfer tax, I'll look at it.
No, you look it up. You're in the Health Force, people that look it up. People to know how to do this. Is it a good idea to prevent someone from someone even here?
I think what Emily was saying is that she was going to at least help research and see the viability of the idea.
Thank you, Jason.
But like you didn't want to collaborate with her, there's no incentive to do that.
No.
It has to be taken out. I'm assuming that it would have to be approved by the county board of supervisors. It's about 9 or 12 towns. In
19
county.
You're right.
And many of them have water, lakes, right? That's
good.
This has to be prevented from ever happening again here or somewhere else.
I don't think we disagree with that.
We do have
Let's do it.
other
Asking you to
members
do
of the
something.
public that have been waiting
Yeah.
since 5:30.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, James.
I will research transfer tax. That's the most I'm gonna give you tonight. All right.
I'm
Thank
also
We will
interested
go
in
in without
speaking.
getting you.
All right.
Yeah, we got,
Okay.
hold on a second.
Roger, you're in the audience. Did you need to respond? Or
No,
do you have anything?
Not
for me?
response. You did bring something to
This
us.
is not speaking for the SOA.
Okay.
It is a narrow concern. It is not a broad concern on the lake. It affects some people, but it is a more narrow. Does not reflect the broad needs of the lake.
Okay,
For you people, it's $1,250,000 in tax revenue. We could go to zero because you have extortionists running marinas.
okay.
Roger, something else you want to bring up?
No, I just came as a supportive member of the community to the meeting tonight.
Thank you. Let's go to the screen and
SGH.
Susan, sorry, yes.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
am, I hope you don't mind me being without camera because the way I'm calling you from, it's really, I'm literally, I'm appreciative so much of even opportunity to work and speak in front of you. And let me introduce myself. My name is Susanna Galic Price. You see actually my initials on the screen. And I am one of the partners from the team that we call Stelex. It's a partnership, it's LLC. And we own the property in Lake Placid. We love coming to Lake Placid, quite few of us. However, I have a question, and it's more like of guidance that I'm asking you to share with me. We have 3 deeded pieces of property in Lake Placid, just across the street from Marriott. If you know where the State Farm Insurance is, most people do know that, off the Cascade Road. All three of our properties have a Cascade Road address. When we purchased those properties 3-4 years ago now, we always had a Cascade address, and a couple years later, after we purchased, STR licenses got to go into effect, and we have them, of course. But we found out the other day, literally like a couple of weeks back, that if we decide to sell our properties, that the next owners would not be grandfathered the same licenses. Now, the reason I wanted to ask you for guidance is to help me or help us understand how 1 out of 3 properties has SCR licenses and 2 of them don't. All 3 of them have a Cascade address, Cascades Road address, belonging to 3 different ones. So who can we talk to about this? And maybe is it you, is it your team that we should present a map? If whoever saw the map of our properties cannot understand why 1 property has SCR and 2 don't. And they do have it now, but they wouldn't if we would sell it tomorrow. So are you the people who need to understand details of this, or there is a process we can have engaged? Please tell me and help us if possible.
So I think what you're asking for, and this town board has received your letter, is a map amendment. Because it doesn't, your address has nothing to do with your zoning district, just to be clear. So it doesn't matter zoning that they have Cascade Road addresses. What's important is that those 2 parcels are zoned town residential. So in our amendments to short-term rental law in 23, or let's say our most recent, so there was the 2020 23, I believe, was amendments. We said that we, the town and village, that in town residential and village residential, there was no grandfathering of unhosted short-term rentals. So you are 2 of probably 300 short-term rental permits that fall under this category, maybe 200 short-term. So there are 198 other short-term rental owners that are in the same situation, that if they sell their properties in town residential and village residential, they cannot, the new owner cannot get an unhosted short-term rental permit.
Is one of her property is
Gateway corridor.
the Gateway corridor where the other 2 properties
Are
are
not.
not. And that was one of the regulations that your property had to be on the Gateway corridor.
But that's not a zoning district, so what supersedes
Okay.
that is the zoning
Okay.
district, which is town residential.
Okay.
So if you would be asking for a map
So
amendment,
help me understand something, and we really were considering doing, sorry, I'm sorry, you broke up, so I didn't realize you were speaking. Go ahead, I apologize.
no, you can go ahead, I think I said everything.
Okay, so the 3rd piece of property is a land currently, and we literally were considering building something on it, or even maybe turning everything into the same deed, because right now we have 3 properties, meaning 3 different deeds. So we would sit here, hey, what do we want? And this is really not, this was not related to SDR. We were just figuring out what we would like to do. Now, from STR perspective, would any of these options change the future for us, to change future rules? Because if we were to build a house on that land, literally 5 meters away from existing house that is currently not to be grandfathered for the new owners, would we have even a right to have STR if we build a house? Or if we combine all 3 properties into one deed, would we even lose what we currently have for one of those pieces? I mean, how do we even understand the implications for the future?
Well, without looking at a map of that property that's in Gateway Corridor, I don't even know if it's buildable. Isn't it just your road? So, I mean, if you want to propose a building there, you have to meet setbacks. There's a whole schedule for Gateway Corridor that you could look up online, or you could ask the building office for. So you'd have to meet like those setbacks, the density requirement, the impervious surface. There's a schedule that you could follow to see if you could put a building there. And that, because it's in Gateway Corridor, could have a lodging permit which is unhosted. The question about merging deeds, I think, is a question for your attorney.
So, well, our attorney can merge all those deeds. I
No,
understand
how
that.
that affects short-term rental law. That's not I don't know the answer to that question.
Oh, I see. So maybe
I mean,
you
merging
gave
deeds
it
does not
answer to
change a
somebody
map.
else.
That's what I'm gonna say. Might change lines on a map, but it
Oh, I
doesn't
see.
color coding of a map.
When you said that it's a question for attorney, which means, did I understand you well that we would have needed to have attorney to deal with that issue with the village, or you meant something else?
This is the town, and it would, the attorney would be, I would ask your attorney if they think that there's any reason to merge the deeds. What I'm saying is that if you merge deeds, it doesn't change them, it changes the lines on a map, but not your zoning district.
I understand that, but that would, in our heads, and maybe we are really mistaken, which is why I'm talking to you. If we would merge the deeds in our head, that would be single property. And probably this is why I don't understand why would map, currently existing map that currently has a two pieces of land with the houses and them in different color from the color that just the land is in. I get it right now, but if we would merge it, because again, for our own reasons, that means part of the property that we would own under the same deed would have a right to be potentially STR'd. And we, to our knowledge, we do have enough of land to build a third house on that land. So this is where I'm puzzled how that
Yeah,
would be in
but
the case
I'm just
looked
saying
at.
that like there's a map and the map doesn't change. Just because you merge deeds, the map doesn't change. You'd still be asking for a map amendment, which is essentially what your letter was asking for to make those two properties Gateway Corridor. And this town board does not entertain map amendments for individual parcels based on what they wanted, that they want to have a short-term rental.
Yeah, like you said,
Maybe,
the
so
lines would
I
change,
hear
but
what you
the color
say.
doesn't.
I
Yeah.
hear what you said to me.
Conversation with
Maybe
Darcy.
this is because the deeds define.
This is the
Sorry,
one.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, you can repeat that, but I think we've said our piece and I think we understand your situation. And if you want to propose a house on that Gateway Corridor piece, that's something to bring up with the building office. And the merging deeds is something you do with
It's
your
called
attorney.
building office.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we understand that one. So it's called building office that we need to contact in order to discuss this further.
No, there's no discussion
And is there
further.
some
You wanna
specific
build
person
that-
in
You
a
wanna
real?
build a house on Gateway Corridor.
Yeah.
In the gateway, in that vacant piece, if you want to build something there, you go to the building office.
That's what I'm saying. So that would be building office. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for your time and
Thank you for being
explanation. I really
patient.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Good night.
Is there any other remarks for the board? Okay, with that being said, we are in need of an executive session to talk about personnel matters. So with that, I know I can't adjourn yet until we come back.
But you
I'm
can
glad you referred to.
make a motion
Yeah,
to.
motion to go into
session.
executive session.
I need a motion.
I make a motion that we go into executive session.
All right, and seconded by Jason. Oh, you can see that? I knew I screw up.
She moved and I saw that.
Yeah, go ahead, Grace.
The most like rapid fire like questions.
I was gonna say you have to be as entertaining as well.
I'm just doing a list, I'll try to keep it quick, so.
No,
the-
you're all right.
You're fine, Rick.
So the smart, just clarifying a couple things, so I understand what's what. So but going way back to the beginning. so
Smart
the
growth
design-
grant,
Yeah, the smart growth grant, what precisely from in the comprehensive plan is funded by the smart growth?
grant, the comp plan.
Yeah, I think that is a Haley question. I'm not sure if it's divided out that way, like if it's actually like sections that are smart growth, but it could be in the budget. I just am not that familiar with it. But I know, I think the smart growth was 98,000 and the,
92, this what
and the total contract was like 120, 30. So,
It's for SE group.
yes,
For that work,
yes.
it's not like funding some other.
no, it's, it went all into that plan.
Okay, yeah,
And
that's.
the
that's my
master
feedback.
plan for the showgrounds of Park District,
Mhm.
that's totally separate, that's on us.
Yeah, so. You put this in like an elevator pitch, I just wonder how you would articulate. How does the comprehensive plan work for leveraging funding in the future? Cause I'm getting the sense that
That's
that's
a
one of
real
the
good
big
question.
things.
That's like super easy.
It's my birthday.
Just want to soak it in for a minute.
So anytime you apply for a grant, it literally, like 99% of them say, is this supported in your comprehensive plan? And so you have to go back to that document and say, look, it's right here, like increase public access on the lake, so we need money to put in a boat dock or whatever it is. Every state and federal grant will say is supported in your comprehensive.
I know. I mean,
Oh.
Don't put that one there.
Next time talk even faster, I said to hear you, okay?
Oh, that was good.
Cool, and then Derek, you mentioned the grant for Old Military
Yeah.
Road, so like that's a pretty recent.
That's a state grant that came through. I wanna say, you can verify with Jim Dugan at the county. I believe it's either 100,000 or maybe $110,000. And it's for, you know, research to come up with the scope of work, if you will.
Sure, but
Yeah.
that's something the county did, not like the town, that was kind of initiated by the
Well,
county.
that's right. That was issued to the county, but the county is gonna work with the stakeholders here. For instance, bring reps from the town, from maybe the hospital because the gym is there and stuff, and Orda, rail trail folks, even residents to talk about a potential sidewalk to keep the training athletes out of the road. All those kind of things.
Sure, okay.
Stormwater,
And to clarify, that's because that's a county road and then a state road right before it?
yeah,
I'm just trying to think of the ownership, state to county.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know, okay, and then, so I've kind of like lost track of all the pieces of what's going on at the showgrounds, so what's happening at the Long Building right now, and is that in the town's purview, or is the horse showgrounds also dealing with that?
The town's aspect of this horse show resurgence, our aspect is tent sites and long building,
Okay,
the grounds.
Yeah.
And the long building.
Mhm.
The horse show folks are graciously investing in all the new rings.
Right.
So it's a new and rejuvenated partnership.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and
I might
I've
add-
them, they're very excited.
Might add to that.
Yeah.
That anything that could be used by residents, visitors, and the horse show
Mhm.
were involved with. Anything that is just used by the horse show is paid for by the horse show, so that, yeah, right.
Yeah, so roughly speaking, what's kind of the status of the Long Building project right now?
We're in design phase right now. We have conceptual designs, we meet weekly. Really to get a scope of work. We're developing an RFP. And you know, it is we're under the gun to be able to have all this information. Get things ordered and be able to start demolition right after the horse show and have a new building ready. By this time next year.
Yeah, gotcha, so what's the current, like the status of the funding for that project?
I'll fill you in a little later.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you right now, but. We think we're in pretty good graces. Yeah.
And you're gonna tweet it out, your article on the horse show grounds, the horse show, what they've done.
Yeah.
They were excited about it, so.
I read it holding my breath that you wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
And you
No,
did.
I think that's everything, so I'll tell you tomorrow if it is.
Thank you, Grace. All right, so we had the motions, all in favor of executive session, aye, carried.
I am in favor of executive. So great to see you, Derek.
When are you taking the helm? Not till
July,
August.
it's August 3rd.
Oh, is that when the big meeting is, or is it, oh, so you're gonna do things in July?
Yeah.
Don't you usually do them first week of August?
Well, no, I'm sorry, it's August 3rd.
Okay.
Yes,
All
so